Let me ask you a question
Yeah.
that might sound a little weird at first. Why is it that on some days you wake up and you are just on fire?
Mm.
I mean, you want to crush your entire to-do list, maybe run a 10K
Yeah.
and reorganize your whole financial portfolio before lunch.
And then maybe the very next day, you end up doom scrolling for 6 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea of just getting off the couch feels like a personal insult.
Yeah.
And then, rarely, but it happens, you have those moments of just perfect, crystal clear calm.
We usually just chalk that up to mood swings, right? Or maybe too much coffee versus not enough sleep.
Right. It's the human condition.
Yeah.
We think those shifts are just random biological noise.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I told you that, according to the materials we're looking at today, those aren't just random moods?
Not just chemical imbalances.
Exactly. The claim here is that these states are actually the fundamental building blocks of the entire universe, like the source code running your personality.
It is a pretty radical idea, but that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We're taking a deep dive into chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita.
Which is ancient.
Very ancient, yeah. We're looking at a section called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga.
That is a mouthful.
It is. It translates roughly to the yoga of the division of the three gunas. And to guide us through this, we've got lecture notes and commentaries from Swami Sarvapriyananda.
And he's great. He has this knack for mixing deep, thousands-of-year-old philosophy with, modern psychology and
frankly, some pretty solid jokes.
yeah, he does. So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out what these three gunas are, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas.
Right.
We need to understand how they effectively keep us trapped in what the text describes as like a simulation, and then hopefully find the exit door.
To become what the Gita calls a Gunatita.
Which means
Someone who has transcended the qualities. Someone who has stepped out of the matrix.
Okay, let's start at ground zero then. What exactly is a guna? Because when I was reading the prep material, it seemed like the word has a kind of double meaning.
You're right, it does. In Sanskrit, guna can mean quality or virtue, but its root meaning, and this is really important for the imagery, is actually rope.
Rope.
Or strand. The idea is that these are the ropes that bind consciousness, your soul, or who you really are, to the body and the material world. Everything you see, touch, feel, it's all a mixture of these three ropes. They are the constituents of nature, or what the texts call Maya.
So we are essentially tied up by these three types of ropes.
Right.
To make this stick, we have to talk about the parable of the three robbers.
Right.
This is a story from Sri Ramakrishna that was in the notes, and I thought it was just the perfect way to visualize this. It's a bit dark, though.
It is, but it sets the stage perfectly. So imagine a man traveling through a dense, dark forest.
And the forest is, what, life?
The forest represents samsara, the world of space, time, existence, the daily grind. Suddenly, this traveler gets waylaid by three robbers.
And robber number one is the nasty one.
Right. Robber number one grabs the man and shouts, "What's the use of keeping this guy alive? He's worthless. Let's just kill him and take his money."
And this corresponds to Tamas.
This is tamas. Tamas is the quality of darkness, destruction, inertia, delusion. It wants to destroy the traveler. In your own life, this isn't just being tired. It's that destructive heaviness. It's the impulse toward ruin.
Okay, so that's the first threat. But then robber number two steps in.
Yes. He pushes the first guy away and says, no, don't kill him. That's unnecessary. Let's just bind him tight to a tree and take his stuff. Then we leave.
And that is Rajas.
That's Rajas. Passion, activity, dynamism. It binds you. It ties you to the world through action and desire. Notice the difference.
It doesn't kill you.
It doesn't kill you. In fact, Rajas keeps you very alive and active, but it definitely traps you. It ties you to the tree.
So the robbers take the money and leave him tied up. He's struggling. He's panicked. But then, a little while later, the third robber comes back alone.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks different. He's calm. He's kind. He unties the man and says, "I'm sorry you got hurt. Come with me. I'll show you the road home."
This is Sattva. Sattva represents knowledge, peace, balance, clarity. It releases you from the bindings of Rajas and the destruction of Tamas.
See, this is where I expected the story to end. Robber 3 is the hero. He takes you home. Roll credits. But there's a twist in this story that it actually threw me for a loop.
It's the most important part of the metaphor. The third robber leads the man to the very edge of the forest. He points to the city in the distance, which represents safety, enlightenment, freedom, and says, "Go there, that's your home." The man is so grateful, he says, "Well, come with me. You saved me. Let me give you a reward."
And the robber refuses.
The robber shakes his head and says, I can't. I'm a robber too. The police will catch me."
I am a robber too.
Yeah.
That is, well, it's counterintuitive. We spend our whole lives thinking, be good, be productive, be calm is the end goal.
Yeah.
But the text is saying that even goodness is a robber.
Yes. Even sattva, even wisdom, even peace is a robber. It's a benevolent robber, but it belongs to the forest. It belongs to the simulation.
Yeah.
It can take you to the doorstep of freedom, but it cannot enter the ultimate reality itself. You eventually have to leave even goodness behind to be truly free.
That's a lot to process. It basically says that being a good person is just the nicest cell in the prison.
Exactly. It's a golden cage versus an iron cage, but you're still in a cage.
Okay, let's ground this because it sounds very abstract. How do we actually spot these three robbers in our day-to-day life? If I'm operating out of Tamas, what does that look like on a Tuesday morning?
Well, the Swami describes Tamas with the slogan, "It's too much trouble."
I know that feeling intimately.
It's procrastination, laziness, inadvertence. But the source material makes a really sharp distinction here. It says the only thing that motivates a Tamasic mindset is fear. Yes. It calls it the kindergarten of religion, doing things only because you're afraid of punishment.
So sleeping for 12 hours isn't necessarily peaceful.
No, and that's a common mistake. We think,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just zen, I'm just chilling. But tamas is distinct from peace. Peace is alert. Tamas is a stupor. It's hiding from life.
Okay, so that's the first robber. Then you have Rajas. The Swami used a great example for this one. He called it the I want energy.
Yes.
The example given was Black Friday shopping.
Exactly. Imagine standing in line for 2 hours in the freezing cold, fighting a crowd to get 20% off a TV. That is pure Rajas.
It's dynamism, though. It has energy.
It does, but it's fueled by greed, desire, and restlessness.
And it's the energy that builds cities, too.
It is. It builds cities and starts wars. It's painful because it's never satisfied, but it gets things done.
And then Sattva. This is the scientist or the artist deeply in flow.
Exactly. The example given is someone engrossed in study or art, not for money, not for fame, but just for the love of it. It's characterized by mindfulness and focus. A rajasic mind flickers like a candle in the wind. A sattvic mind is like a candle flame in a windless room. It's steady.
So, looking at this hierarchy, the game plan seems obvious. We want to move from tamas, which is lazy, to rajas, active, and then to sattva, which is peaceful.
Yeah.
But the sources mention a specific trap here. You can't skip steps.
No, you can't. And this is a very practical point for anyone listening who's trying to improve themselves. You cannot jump from laziness directly to Zen-like peace. You have to go through activity first.
There's a really interesting historical anecdote about this involving Swami Vivekananda.
Right. When he returned to India during colonial rule, he looked at the country, which was very passive at the time, and someone said to him, "Look how peaceful and nonviolent we are."
And he didn't buy it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Vivekananda basically said, that's not peace, that's the peace of the grave.
Wow. Peace of the grave.
He diagnosed the nation as being in tamas inertia. He said they needed to wake up to rajas, to activity, ambition, even strength, before they could even think about transcending it.
There was another story about a monk who tried to go meditate in the Himalayas.
Yes, he went to sit in a cave and be purely sattvic, but he ended up opening a school for local kids and building a clinic.
Because he couldn't sit still.
Because his nature was still rajasic. He tried to put on the costume of a meditator, but his internal engine was revving. The Swami makes the point that sometimes doing work, what they call karma yoga, is far more spiritual than sitting with your eyes closed fighting sleep.
Right.
If you have that fire, burn it through selfless work. Don't pretend it's not there.
Okay, so we climb the ladder. Tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva. But now we have to talk about the golden chain. We established that sattva is the good robber who walks you to the edge of the forest. But how does being knowledgeable or happy bind you?
It's subtle. The text uses the term golden chain. Iron chains like addiction or anger bind you, obviously. But gold chains bind you too. Sattva binds you through attachment to happiness and attachment to knowledge.
The I know it all trap.
Precisely. Or the I am so peaceful trap. Yeah. If you are attached to your peaceful state of mind, what happens when that peace is disturbed?
You get annoyed.
What happens when the neighbor starts drilling into the wall? You get defensive.
Right.
Exactly. That reaction shows you are still bound. You are a slave to the condition of your mind. You're only okay if the environment is okay.
The Swami told a funny story about Einstein at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton.
the Institute for Advanced Salaries, as the other professors called it.
Right.
The idea was that these top-tier scientists didn't need rules. They didn't need the stick of Raja's deadlines, bosses, performance reviews, because they were driven by sattva, the pure love of knowledge. But the point the Swami makes is that even that love of knowledge is a function of the mind. It's still within the simulation.
Because if you identify as the smart one or the peaceful one, you're still identifying with a costume.
And the goal of this yoga is to take the costume off entirely.
Which brings us to the main event. The Gunatita, the one who has transcended the Gunas. This is the exit door.
This is where we shift from psychology to pure metaphysics. The Swami uses a clever bit of wordplay here that I love. He says we get upset because the setup changes.
Set up and upset. Okay, unpack that.
The setup is the combination of gunas, your body, your mood, the weather, your bank account. It's always changing. It's swirling. The Gunatita, the enlightened person, realizes that the setup creates the upset.
Okay.
So if you stop identifying with the setup, you stop getting upset.
But isn't that just detachment? It sounds a bit cold, like you just don't care about anything.
Look, it sounds that way, but the metaphor that really clicks for this is the blue sky.
Okay, walk us through the blue sky.
Imagine consciousness, your true self, as the vast blue sky. Now imagine the gunas as weather. Sattva is the fluffy white clouds. It's very pleasant. Rajas and Tamas are the dark storm clouds. Thunder, lightning, rain.
And we usually think we are the clouds. I am sad, I am angry.
Exactly, we claim the clouds. But the sky is never wet. It's never burned by lightning. And here is the kicker. It's never actually white, just because a white cloud is there.
Right.
It creates the space for the clouds to exist, but it is untouched by them.
So the sky permits the storm, but isn't damaged by it.
Right. The enlightened person realizes, I am the sky. They don't cling to the white clouds and they don't fear the storm clouds. They just watch them pass. It's not cold indifference, it's vast stability.
There was a really poignant story about Sri Ramakrishna near the end of his life that illustrates this separation. He had throat cancer, which sounds excruciating.
It was. By the end, he couldn't eat, he could barely speak, and a disciple asked him, "Sir, do you feel this? Are you in pain?" And Ramakrishna admitted, yes, the body is hurting, the throat is burning.
Man.
But the disciple said, "But I look at you, and I see you are in great bliss. Your face is glowing."
And Ramakrishna laughed.
He rasped out, "The rascal has found me out."
That gives me chills. The rascal has found me out.
That is the Gunatita. The pain was in the setup. The body and the mind were suffering. That's the storm cloud. But he was centered in the sky, the bliss of the self. He could experience the pain without being the pain.
It's like splitting your awareness. You know, the Swami gave another analogy that I think clarifies this even more. The difference between a Broadway play and a Hollywood movie.
Yes, the Broadway versus Hollywood analogy. This is used to explain the difference in how we view reality in different philosophical systems.
Okay, so Broadway first.
In the Sankhya philosophy, which acts like Broadway, you have a real stage, real actors, a real script. The tragedy is real. The comedy is real. You are the audience watching a real performance.
So the suffering is real. You're just watching it from a safe distance.
Right. But in Advaita non-dualism, which is the Hollywood version, it's just a screen.
There are no actual people up there. It's just light projected on a surface.
Exactly. Whether it's a romantic comedy Sattva or a flasher horror movie Tamas, the screen doesn't change. The screen doesn't laugh and the screen doesn't bleed.
And the takeaway is that in both cases, you are the audience. You aren't the character on the screen.
Precisely. You don't jump on stage and try to save the hero. You watch. You develop what they call aesthetic enjoyment. You know how you can watch a really sad movie and cry, but still walk out and say, that was a beautiful movie.
Yeah. You aren't traumatized by it because somewhere deep down, you know it's a movie.
That is how an enlightened person views their own life. Aesthetic enjoyment of your own drama.
That's a cool way to put it. Even the bad days are just a dramatic scene in the movie.
There was one more image used. The crystal.
The clear crystal.
Yes. If you put a red flower near a clear crystal, the crystal looks red. That's Raja's passion. If you put a dark flower near it, it looks dark. That's Tamas. But if you remove the flower, you realize the crystal was colorless the whole time. It never actually became red.
We just think we are angry, but we are just the crystal reflecting the anger flower. So this all sounds amazing. Who doesn't want to be the sky or the crystal? But practically speaking, how do we do it? Because willpower usually fails. I can't just will myself to be detached when I'm stuck in traffic or dealing with a crisis.
And that brings us to the how-to section of the sources. The Swami tells a joke about a translation machine to explain why willpower fails.
Oh, the Russian translation error? I loved this.
Yes, it's an old joke. They typed in the biblical phrase, "The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." The machine translated it into Russian and then back to English, and it came out as, "The vodka is good, but the meat is rotten."
Which, honestly, is also true sometimes.
It is, but the point is, without vairagya, which means dispassion or detachment, we are just like that mistranslation. We have high ideals, the willing spirit, but our desires and habits, the flesh, drag us down.
It's the gap between what we want to be and what we are.
The Swami compares it to a diabetic trying to get surgery. You can't have the surgery, which represents spiritual knowledge, if your blood sugar is too high. You have to control the sugar, the desires, first.
So if we can't just muscle our way through it, what's the shortcut? Because controlling desires is the hardest thing in the world. But the source mentions a hack provided by Krishna.
The hack is bhakti devotion. See, there are two main paths here. The path of knowledge, Jnana, is very strict. It's constant discernment. I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this anxiety.
That sounds exhausting.
It's hard. It's like surgery without anesthesia. It requires immense mental strength. But the path of devotion is different. Instead of rejecting the Gunas as false or bad, you reframe them. You see them as the costumes of God.
Well, I love the visual for this. Instead of seeing a lazy person sleeping and judging them for being tamasic, what do you see?
You see God wearing the blanket of sleep.
And the hyperactive Wall Street traders screaming on the phone?
That isn't just greed. That is God wearing the dazzling robe of activity.
That completely changes how you interact with the world. You aren't fighting it anymore.
Exactly. If you see the divine in the Gunas, you don't need to forcefully detach from them. You attach yourself to something higher, to God, or the truth, and the lower attachments just naturally fall away.
It's the difference between trying to empty a cup of air by sucking it out versus just filling the cup with water. The air leaves on its own.
Right. It's not about negation. It's about substitution.
Yeah.
You don't have to hate the world to transcend it. You just have to love something greater than the world.
So we've covered the three robbers, Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. We've talked about the trap of the golden chain, the metaphor of the blue sky, and this path of devotion to escape. It's a lot to take in. But if we boil this down for the listener who is maybe stuck in traffic right now, which, let's be honest, is a very Rajasic, Tamasic experience, what is the one big takeaway?
The core takeaway is identity. We spend our lives trying to fix the weather, trying to make the clouds white and fluffy all the time. We want permanent sattva. But the teaching here is, you are not the weather, you are the witness.
So move from asking, what is happening to me, to, so what if it is happening?
Exactly. So what? That is the stance of the sky. It doesn't mean you become indifferent or cold. It means you become spacious. You have room for the traffic, room for the frustration, room for the joy, without being crushed by any of it.
It reminds me of that thought from the source about the Declaration of Independence.
Yes. We talk about freedom as an inalienable right. From a Vedantic perspective, that's profound. It suggests that freedom isn't something you earn or buy or achieve. It is what you are.
You are already free.
You are the sky. You just have to stop staring at the clouds and notice the background.
And stop getting kidnapped by the robbers, even the nice one who offers to walk you home.
Especially him. Take his directions, but don't stay in the forest with him.
Well, on that note, I'm going to go observe my own Gunas.
Yeah.
I think I'm feeling a bit of Rajas. Maybe I'll go for a run.
Or maybe Tamas will win and you'll take a nap.
We'll see.
Hmm?
Whatever happens, I'll just witness it. Thanks for listening to this deep dive into the Gunas.
We'll catch you in the next one.